Who could forget the fictional horror characters such as Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, Norman Bates from Psycho, or Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs? As terrifying as these characters may be, they aren't a patch on the real deal, who just happen to be the inspiration for them. Ed Gein has to be in the top 5 of America's most notorious killers. He was convicted and tried for only one murder, but admitted to killing a second person. The evidence that authorities found within his home suggests he may have killed many, many more. What you're about to see in this week's episode of Strangeries is far more gruesome and horrifying than any horror film can portray. This is the strange but true story of Ed Gein, the Plainfield Butcher. Edward Theodore Gein was born on August 27, 1906 in La Crosse County, Wisconsin, and later moved to the small town of Plainfield, Wisconsin with his family to a large farm. His mother, Augusta, was fervently religious. She relished in the fact that the farm they now lived on was fairly remote, so outsiders could not have influence on her sons. Edward left the farm only to attend school, and outside of school, he spent most of his time doing chores on the farm. She preached to her boys about the innate immorality of the world, the evil of drinking, and her belief that all women except herself were naturally prostitutes and instruments of the devil. She reserved time every afternoon to read to them from the Bible, usually selecting graphic verses from the Old Testament concerning death, murder, and divine retribution. Edward was shy, and classmates and teachers remembered him as having strange mannerisms, such as seemingly random laughter, as if he were laughing at his own personal jokes. To make matters worse, his mother punished him whenever he tried to make friends. Despite his poor social development, he did fairly well in school, particularly in reading. On April 1, 1940, Ed's father George died at the age of 66 of heart failure caused by alcoholism. His brother Henry and Ed began doing odd jobs around town to help cover living expenses. The brothers were generally considered reliable and honest by residents of the community. While both worked as handymen, Ed also frequently babysat for neighbours. He enjoyed babysitting, seeming to relate more easily to children than adults. Henry began dating a divorced single mother of 2 and planned on moving in with her. As the older brother, he worried about Ed's attachment to their mother and often spoke ill of her around him. As the older brother, he worried about Ed's attachment to their mother and often spoke ill of her around him. On May 16, 1944, Henry and Ed were burning away marsh vegetation on the property. The fire got out of control, drawing the attention of the local fire department. By the end of the day, the fire having been extinguished and the firefighters gone, Ed reported his brother missing. With lanterns and flashlights, a search party searched for Henry, whose dead body was found lying face down. Apparently, he had been dead for some time, and it appeared that the cause of death was heart failure, since he had not been burned or injured otherwise. It was later reported in Harold Schechter's biography of Gein, Deviant, that Henry had bruises on his head. The police dismissed the possibility of foul play, and the county coroner later officially listed asphyxiation as the cause of death. The authorities accepted the accident theory, but no official investigation was conducted and an autopsy was not performed. Ed and his mother were now alone. Augusta had a paralysing stroke shortly after Henry's death, and he devoted himself to taking care of her. She had a second stroke soon after, and her health deteriorated rapidly. She died on December 29, 1945 at the age of 67. Gein held on to the farm and earned money from odd jobs. He boarded up rooms that were used by his mother, the upstairs portion of the house, the downstairs parlour and the living room, leaving them untouched. While the rest of the house became increasingly squalid, the rooms he boarded up remained pristine. Gein lived in a small room next to the kitchen thereafter, and it was around this time that he became interested in reading death cult magazines and adventure stories, particularly those involving cannibals and Nazi atrocities. On the morning of November 16, 1957, Plainfield hardware store owner Bernice Worden disappeared. A Plainfield resident reported that the hardware store's truck had been driven out from the rear of the building at around 9:30 am. The hardware store was closed the entire day. Some area residents believed this was because of deer hunting season. Bernice Worden's son, Deputy Sheriff Frank Worden, entered the store at around 5 p.m. to find the store's cash register open and bloodstains on the floor. Frank Worden told investigators that Ed Gein had been in the store the evening before his mother's disappearance and that he would return the next morning for a gallon of antifreeze. A sales slip for a gallon of antifreeze was the last receipt written by Worden on the morning she disappeared. On the evening of the same day, Gein was arrested at a West Plainfield grocery store, and the Washara County Sheriff's Department searched the Gein farm. A Washara County Sheriff's deputy discovered Worden's decapitated body in a shed on Gein's property, hung upside down by her legs with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes at her wrists. Bernice had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and her torso cut open down the middle. The mutilations to her body were made after her death. Upon searching the rest of the property, officers found several objects made of human body parts, including a lampshade made from the skin of a human face, leggings made from human leg skin, a belt that was made of human female nipples, and a corset that was made from a human female torso that was skin from shoulders to waist. Gein said to authorities during his arrest that the body parts found in his house were gained from several nocturnal visits he made to graveyards. During these visits, he would exhume bodies whilst in a daze-like state. The bodies he dug up were all middle-aged women who reminded him of his mother. By this point, he has already killed 2 people that we know of, and we only have his word to go by that the rest of the body parts were from bodies he had exhumed. Is it really so far-fetched to believe he had probably killed most of the women he displayed as household appliances and furniture? I suspect he really did exhume some bodies, but that a large proportion were killed by his own hands, but this is something we will probably never know for sure. On November 21st, 1957, Gein was arraigned on 1 count of first-degree murder in Washara County Court, where he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Gein was diagnosed with schizophrenia and found mentally incompetent, thus unfit for trial. He was sent to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, a maximum security facility in Wisconsin, and later transferred to the Mendota State Hospital. A psychiatrist testified that Gein had told him that he did not know whether the killing of Bernice Worden was intentional or accidental. Gein had also told him that while he examined a gun in Worden's store, the gun went off, killing Worden. He testified that after trying to load a bullet into the rifle, it discharged. He said he had not aimed the rifle at Warden and did not remember anything else that happened that morning. He would spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital. Judge Golmar wrote, "Due to prohibitive costs, Gein was tried for only one murder, that of Mrs. Warden, but that he had also admitted to killing Mary Hogan." You can see why he became the inspiration for so many fictional cannibals and serial killers. His crimes are gruesome and extremely disturbed. Even if he didn't kill more than 2 people, why would any person exhume body parts to display them around their home? Whatever you do, don't put the lotion in the basket. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and if you're new to my channel and you like strange but true stories like this, you should definitely subscribe for weekly content. Thanks for watching.